This Aston Martin DBX was fully submerged underwater, which caused catastrophic engine failure. That's not good. Yeah. I know I didn't realise that the damage was this bad when I bought this car at auction. Yes, the DBX was listed as a flood damaged car and it showed me that the car didn't run, but I still took the risk and bought it for my dad as it's his dream car.
Oh, I can't believe that you bought this.
But the water that the engine sucked up not only damaged the conrod, it also rusted away the cylinder block.
Look at that.
And we then later found that Aston Martin don't sell the cylinder block separately.
They will sell the internals, but they don't sell the block.
Yeah, correct.
They will only sell us the complete engine, which was £64,000. We decided to go for plan B and buy a second-hand GLC 63 engine, which we thought would be the same. But after we started stripping that engine apart, we found it was completely different.
This not gone well.
We found most of it was different, apart from the cylinder block. But we might be able to make one good engine out of two bad ones, so my dad can finally enjoy his dream car for good. Here is a cylinder block out of a Mercedes-Benz GLC 63. Now, we were hoping to use the entire engine out of the Mercedes-Benz GLC 63 until we realised all of this was different for the engine that come out of the DBX. And the only thing that is actually the same, we hope, is the cylinder block. And our cylinder block, which has come out of the DBX, is no longer good. So we're going to be using this one, but using all the parts out of the DBX to rebuild this one up. We don't know whether that's going to work or not as of yet. And our only way to find out is to actually do it. So what we're going to do first is clean up this cylinder block, and then we can start taking the pistons and everything out of the DBX and putting them into the GLE or C engine. Okay, let's get this cylinder block nice and clean. If we can't buy a brand new one, we can at least make our second-hand one look kind of new. And we're going to be using as much as we can off the DBX engine because it's only done around 2,000 miles. And now that the block is clean, we're ready for the first step, which would be to put the main bearing shells in. But it's not as easy as that. Now inside this block, these are the old bearings. So these are actual bearings which the crankshaft spins on. When you ring up to order these bearings, what they do, they ask you, what is the marking on the cylinder block? And this mark here has got a 2, there's a 2, there's a 2, there's a 2, and there's a 2. All 2s. And 2 correlates to yellow in the workshop manual which means you need a yellow bearing. The yellow bearings are a different size to opposed to a red bearing. And that will be the clearances. So it might be a tiny bit thicker or a tiny bit smaller. And the thicker it is, it's going to close the clearance on the crankshaft, and the thinner is going to open it. And this is really vital when it comes to these main bearing shells, because that crankshaft is spinning super fast, so there's a lot of heat going through it. So it's vital we get this right. We tried to order new bearings. Aston Martin don't sell a lot of the internal parts of the car, including stuff like bearings, so we're being sketchy. And we're going to be taking the bearings out of the old engine, which luckily are all yellow bearings as well, and putting them in the second-hand block which we're building up.
So this bearing is the front bearing.
Look, you can see it's marked yellow. It's got a yellow marking on there. That is going to go straight in there. Get in there. One out. With one done, we've got 4 more to go. We're sliding these all in place, and then we can move on to the next step, which are these type of oil squirters. Not sure of the actual proper name. These bolt in between the cylinders, and oil flows down the pipes and squirt it on the back of the piston to lubricate the piston when it's going up and down the cylinder. And now that they're bolted in, we can move on to the crankshaft, one of the most vital parts of an engine. But as my dad was cleaning it up, we noticed something which might not be good news. Okay, so this is the crankshaft out of the DBX. We've got to use this crankshaft because all the pistons and everything are different out of the DBX than they were on the GLC. So we're using everything all the same. We thought the crankshaft was going to be fine, but we've just cleaned it up and it's not fine. It's black marking it. You can feel like a ridge on there, and then that is one. Like, I'm pretty much most of them all in line with each other. So they're all in line. So what we think's happened there is that the water's sat in it, rested it, and it's just corroded part of the crank. And it's important that the crankshaft where the bearing spins on is 100% perfect, because the difference in those bearings that we've just put in are down to the 1,000th of a millimetre. Now, a new crankshaft, we can actually get one. It's £3,500, so I don't fancy that. That was half the price I paid for the engine. So I think what we're going to do is might be able to send this crankshaft away and get it refaced. Is that what they do? Is that what you call it? Just like,
I think the metal spray or something like that, yeah. I think they take some off and then build it back up with metal spray or something. I don't know, perhaps there's another way to do it these days. I don't.
The thing is, if they have to polish out the damage that's on that crankshaft, we're then going to lose metal, which means we're going to have to add a bigger bearing. And the bearing sizes only go up by the 1,000th, so we don't have much room. So if someone does polish out the damage in it, they're going to have to re-add the metal back in somehow, which I'm not sure is even possible. But then we had the idea of using the crankshaft out of the Mercedes engine, but it felt heavier than the DBX one. 18 kilos. The Mercedes one was over 18 kilos. Oh, it's quite the same. But the DBX... But it is lighter.
Yeah, by like a kilo. But when that's spinning at like 6,000-7,000 revs per minute, that's a lot of weight saved. It's going to be a lot, yeah, when it's spinning, it changes massively, doesn't it? Yeah, it's like when you want to save weight, save it on your wheels, because rotational weight is more than
static. On the BMX.
Yeah.
Main thing you change on BMX tyres, lighter tyres, you massively feel it. So we can't use the Mercedes crank. So we took a trip down to KMB Engineering, where Ricky from RE Performers recommended us to go to get it checked out. It's not what we wanted, it's not what we expected, but we've come to KMB Engineering, a friend of Ricky's, and Kevin's going to tell us whether this is going to actually be doable or not. Put it down on your bench trim. The worst of it is here.
Okay.
Kevin's now going to decide whether we need a whole new crankshaft.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about that in the slightest, really.
What, you think that'd be good?
Yeah. That's just obviously where it's been sat with water in there.
Yeah.
All that's going to do is retain a little bit of oil.
Okay.
So I would imagine it measures fine for size.
Yeah.
There's no scoring or anything like that.
Well, it's only done 2,000 miles.
Yeah.
So, and
I wouldn't be worried about it at all. If that was mine, I'd be putting it back in.
Wow! Do you know what? That's actually worth. Yeah, that's worth the journey. Then it was worth the journey.
I told you that with the photograph.
Could have saved us 4 hours of driving.
No way. That is great news. We can use the crankshaft, and although we wasn't sure to start with, it was always good to get a professional's advice. Now let's continue the build. These stop the crankshaft from moving left to right. You've got lower ones, one in the bottom. These are called thrust washers. They stop the crank from moving front to backwards, not left to right. It was just the way I was standing over the engine, it looked like left to right. Now we can add some oil on the bearings that we put in, ready for the crankshaft to be dropped onto it. And on it goes. Right. The next step are the bearing cap, the crankshaft caps, which are these. These have bearings in them on the top there. But to find the correct bearing size, which goes on the top, WGRRR. And those bearings WGRRR were of course in the DBX engine, and because it's done such low mileage, we're just going to take the bearings out of that and apply them to the bearing caps for the Mercedes block, which my dad's doing now. Once they're in, I could then slide in the bearing caps over the crankshaft. These only go in a certain way. You can see here this one's marked as 1, the next one is 2, 3, 4 and so on. New bolts. These bolts are stretch bolts, so once you tighten them to spec, they actually stretch the thread. This is where it gets silly. All of these have got to be tightened up in a certain way to a certain spec. 35 Newton meters for the middle one, then 90 degree. 25 Newton meters for the out one, then 90 degree.
I'm proud of him for using a torque wrench.
What are you on about? We always use torque wrenches.
This is a job that you can't really get away without a torque wrench. Because these bearing clearances are so tight, we've got to make sure that all of the bolts are down to spec. And with that done, we're on to the next job. Next step, the conrod and the piston is going to go in. But what you should replace are the actual rings. So these rings like seal the gap as it goes up the cylinder. These are really rusty, so we are actually going to replace them, but we've not got new ones because you can't buy them new. You have to buy an entire piston, which is over £700 per piston. We could regret that, but what we're going to do is going to take these off, these old rusty ones off, like this, and we're going to pop them down, and we're going to use the piston rings which have already been inside that cylinder block. Yeah, first we've got to get all these off and then clean up these pistons. Let's go. The idea of the piston rings are to completely seal the gap between the piston and the lower half of the engine. These are vital for the compression of the engine. If the piston rings aren't doing their job, then you could get oil into the combustion chamber, which could cause a smoky exhaust. Or if the piston rings are too wide, then it could scrape up the side of the cylinders and cause your engine to fail. Now, because I haven't bought new piston rings, we're going to be using the piston rings which have already come out of that cylinder block, which were on the old pistons, if that makes sense. But there is a way of measuring them to make sure that they're going to work. Here is the top piston ring, which goes on the top of the piston. Not this piston though, because this is the one that we're not putting in. We're going to measure the gap between there, and when it's inside there, it should read, according to our workshop manual which we got off Google, between 0.18 millimeters and 0.30 millimeters. So the way we do that is squash the piston ring into the cylinder, and then to make sure that it's nice and centralized, we use the old piston to push it down into place. Then we're going to use a feeler gauge to check the measurement of the piston ring gap. But if we get this one in, it's no good. You can see how small the gap is here, but this feeler gauge won't quite fit in the gap, which is good news, because that's the wrong size. 2.5. Yeah, look at that. That's good. The measurement of 0.25 millimeters just fits in the gap. 30 won't.
30 won't, yeah.
30 won't, but even if 30 did, we would have been all right, because it says it goes up to 30, so that's,
so
that's bob on.
Mid-range, yeah.
We're reusing piston rings, guys. Now we've got to do that, but for the other three on that one, and that one, and that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. This is a long process. There's 3 piston rings per cylinder, and we've got to check each one. It does take a lot of time, but if we get this wrong, we could have a really smoky engine. So it's worth taking the time to do it. And once we're happy with the rings, we can apply them to the pistons. Then we're also going to measure the float of the piston ring in its recess, which also has a spec. 1.5 goes in, so that is within spec. Yeah, that is within spec. That's right, isn't it? Because the maximum we could have is 0.2, and we are 0.15. On to the next one. It seems the old pistons should be okay. They all measure to spec. So I'm transferring all of the old piston rings off the old pistons which were in the Mercedes block onto the pistons which were in the DBX block. Pistons are going in, and the arrow on the piston goes towards the front. That's got to mean something to do with these cutouts, or the gudgeon pin could be offset, anything like that. And then on top of that, at the bottom, you have an arrow which is pointing to the front here, but that's only because I think there's like little cutouts where the other conrod on the other side will go against it, whereas on that side for some reason it won't. But we'll figure that out as we go along. But we know that that's the way it come out, so that's the way it's going back. To get the piston into the cylinder, we've got to use this tool here to compress all of the rings onto the piston, and then we can slide it down into the block and give it a knockdown, being careful that we don't break any of the piston rings in doing so. That's in, then we spin it over, and we put the cap on the other side of it. We've already got the bearings in. The bearings are the original ones, out of the water damage engine because these are basically brand new. Let's turn the engine over, slide the conrod onto the crankshaft, and then we can slide the bearing cap from the bottom of the conrod back onto it to clamp it onto the crankshaft. We know these bearings are okay because these bearings which are on the bottom of these conrods and which are touching the crankshaft are the same ones which have come out the DBX engine. And as I've already mentioned, it's only done a couple thousand miles. And that's 7 of them in place. Last piston to go in. The piston is fine, we hope. The conrod is not fine. It's bent. But that's okay because I bought a new conrod. From Aston Martin, aka Mercedes-Benz, just put a sticker on it saying Aston Martin. So we have got one. Now I've got to transfer that onto there and then I can put it in. Let's go. To separate the piston from this conrod, I've got to pick out this C-clip here, which is holding the gudgeon pin in. Once that C-clip's out, I should be able to knock out the gudgeon pin. And off comes the piston, and you can see how bent the conrod is here. Time to reassemble the piston with the new connecting rod. In goes the connecting rod, and down goes the gudgeon pin. It's vital then we put back in that C-clip. Yeah, pins in. Look at that. And that's one bent conrod out and one good conrod in. Time to compress the piston rings again, then slide it all into the cylinder block. Turn the engine over, connect back up the bearing cap, and slide in the new bolts for the conrod. And of course, torque it all down to spec. That is all of the conrod bolts torqued up to spec. Now I believe the next step is, before I put anything on the top, I've got to start putting the timing chains on. And when I removed the timing chains off the old engine, I remember there was 3. 2 which are equal length, 1 which is slightly shorter, and 1 which is the shortest. The shortest one, which actually isn't on that diagram, we'll get to that. That one is actually for the oil pump, which is just going to go on this shorter cog here, directly up to the oil pump, which is at the bottom of the engine. And then this shorter one, you can see, is going to go up and around these two sort of just balance shafts or cogs. They've just go around there, so then that will spin at the same time. Then you're going to have one separate chain go up, which go round the cylinder head, another separate chain which go up and around the cylinder head, and then all of the chain guides, which I've got here. So the next step is literally to start putting all that on, because once I start putting off the top, stuff on the top, I'm going to struggle to get to those chains. So hopefully that makes sense. But the chains is pretty vital because that's what keeps the engine completely in time, the bottom end with the top end. So I've got to get this right. So now I'm trying to slide in the chain over the crankshaft, guide it onto the teeth on the crankshaft, and then around the 2 cogs in the center of the engine. To keep this chain tight, there's this guide here which goes into place. Then you have a chain tensioner which pushes on the back of it. The more oil pressure the car gets, the tighter the chain gets. To hold the guide into place, it has this sort of sliding pin which I've got to knock in. I use a bolt to screw into it, knock it in place, and then unscrew the bolt. Now time for the chain tensioner. That screws into this part of the cylinder block. Then I've got to torque it to spec. And just to make sure it still all turns around with that chain on, I spun the engine over, and it does still work. Now, for the oil pump chain. This only goes around the crankshaft, then around this oil pump at the bottom. It said in the manual to pre-fill this with oil, so I got some Valvoline oil out and filled it up. Then the chain's got to go around the crankshaft and the cog on the oil pump. This doesn't need any timing, it just slots on and turns around with the engine.
Turns over.
It does.
Wow!
Once I'm happy with the bottom of the engine, I can put some sealant around it, drop on the bottom of the sump, put in all the bolts for it, and then add a new oil filter. A new seal goes around here. Again, I pre-fill it with a bit of oil, and then I can slide in the new oil filter and torque it to spec for the sake of it. And whilst I'm there, I added an engine mount and a few pipes. That is the bottom end of the engine built up to an extent. The internal part is built up. The external side, I haven't got a clue at the minute, but I think I could flip this over and now start doing the cylinder heads and everything. There's a few things missing, like crank seals and everything like that, which we're waiting for. But I think I can now start mounting the cylinder heads of the DBX engine onto the actual block of the GLC engine. And this is going to be the moment of truth, really. Let me flip it over. This is the part where the DBX side of the engine meets the Mercedes side of the engine. Sliding on the head gasket now.
The head gasket is on.
And now, here's the cylinder head from the DBX. I can slide this onto the Mercedes block. The head bolts. You're not supposed to reuse head bolts, so we've got new ones, and these will hold the cylinder head to the blocks. Again, these are stretch bolts, so once they're tightened, you should replace them. Right, let's torque the head bolts. So torque specs for the cylinder head bolt is 40 Newton meters, 90 degree, 90 degree, and then 90 degree. They're always wild, so 40 Newton meters for all of them, 90 degrees, then another 90 degrees, then another 90 degrees. We are going to be swinging off this. I'm not sure how they figure out the torque specs, but I'm not going to question them. If it says it in the manual, then I'm going to do it. If I get this part wrong, then it's the whole engine back out again to do it all over. All of the bolts are torqued up. There's a few more bolts here I've got to tighten up here, which I could do afterwards. But that's looking good for one cylinder head. I've got to do the exact same on the other side now though. Right, let's do it. Because this engine's a V8, there's 4 cylinders on each side. So whatever I do on one side of the engine, I've got to redo on the other side. And that's exactly what I've done here. Cylinder heads are on, which is great news. Next step, we've got to time it, which means we need the bottom half of the engine with the crank and all the pistons to be in line with the top half of the engine. Now you're going to do this in 2 different parts. Right side of the engine, left side of the engine. That chain that I put on at the bottom of the crankshaft now is going to join up with the 2 camshafts here. So if this is a tiny bit over that way, a tiny bit over that way, even one tooth, one of the valves will come down and hit into the pistons, or the engine won't run right. To time it, we need this, the puller. We haven't got the crank seal yet, which goes in this hole, but we can do it without that. So this goes on, can only go on one way because there's a little hole here and a hole there. So this can only go on one way. So to time it, there's markings on the puller and there's a line just there. And that line needs to be on 40. I don't know what that means, but that's just what it says in the manual. By turning the crank to this position, all the pistons will be in the right spot so we can time the top half of the engine. To lock it in place, you have this timing pin, which slides in the hole of the puller. That locks in there into a timing hole at the back. I had to buy this special kit. And you'll see what all this kit does in a minute. For now, that is locked in, and oh yeah, look, that line is on 40, so we're doing good. 40 on. Once we're happy with that, I can then put in the camshafts, the intake side and the exhaust side. To try and explain this more simply, when the crankshaft spins round, it will be rotating the chain, which will also be attached to the camshafts at the top of the engine, and they'll all rotate at once. Now when the camshafts rotate, they open and close the intake and the exhaust valves. But it's important they do this at the right timing. If they open too early, they could hit the piston, and they open too late, they might not even get any ignition. Now I'm taking off the cam variators, which essentially are just the cog at the end of the camshafts which make it turn. I've got to take these off so I can get the chain around both of the camshafts. Now I can slide them back into place, but I'm not going to tighten them up. You can see here, I slide them onto the camshaft and the chain goes around both of them. Again, the chain needs a tensioner on the side. And it's another hydraulic one, just like the one at the bottom of the engine. I've got to screw this into the cylinder head and torque it to spec as well. But you can see here still, the camshafts will move individually without the sprockets moving on the end of them. That's because I haven't tightened them yet. And we can't do that until we time the engine, which we ran into a bit of trouble doing.
Hey mate, it's Buzz.
Are you right?
Yeah, good mate, you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. It's not good news, mate, unfortunately. we don't have anything like, well, we don't have that tool purely because we don't ever do anything with the timing on the engines.
Right.
Honestly, because they obviously come as they're almost like a lifetime timed up. It's not something that a component that we change.
Yeah.
We don't have anything. Now, the only other issue is I'm trying to see from Aston if it's obviously an available item you can buy, but they won't sell to anybody apart from an Aston dealer, see?
Oh.
You can't sell tools third party, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. So maybe we're going to have to make something. Yeah, saying it seems weird that you can buy like head bolts and I can buy head gaskets but I can't time it up. That's the strangest thing. That's the strangest thing for me. So someone out there will have the tool, but I'm guessing it's not available to the public somehow. So maybe I have to do some swindling somehow.
Yeah, sorry, mate.
Yeah, no worries. All right, I'll give you a call if we need anything else. But thanks for that. Anyway,
no problem.
all right, cheers.
All right, take care.
See you in a bit.
Bye.
Okay, so this is another new car issue. Look, check this out. Okay, this timing kit is for an M177 engine, right? And what these are designed to do is hold down your cams like this. So they hold down in place. You bolt through there, hold it in place. You put, there's 3 of them. Goes there, one goes there. You then have these, right? These go on there like that. That's how it's supposed to look. And these actually lock, these are actually meant to lock the cams in this direct position so they cannot move, and that is your timing done, and you tighten everything up like that with the bottom pulley on. The issue is, you can clearly see, these cutouts here to hold the cam down, well, they don't go over them. But this is out the Mercedes engine, lovely stuff, look at that, goes on it nicer. DBX engine, cams are way thicker. And then it's the same when it comes to the actual edges. So this bit here slots down perfectly, locked in there. So you've got no play movement left and right. On this one, you can put it down and you've got loads of movement. So the cam can actually just move left to right. So it can go anywhere. So it's not in the exact position. So either we're gonna have to make something now, which is really risky with timing because you don't know whether it's got to be like absolutely bob on, or we're gonna have to find somebody who's got the correct kit to do this. There's probably gonna be one person in the whole of the UK, I imagine. It's gonna be at Gaydon, isn't it? Where they make them.
Yeah, surely the factory's got the kit, but then does anybody else?
So the timing kit that I bought is for the M177 engine, but on the DBX engine, they changed the camshafts, and I can't seem to find that timing kit anywhere. Aston Martin can get it, but they won't sell it to us. So whilst we try and figure out a solution on how we're going to time this engine up, the only thing I can do is start putting the other side of the cylinder head together, again without timing it. We then found out that the E63 AMG uses the same camshafts as the DBX. So I was going to ring Mercedes to see if they had a timing kit for the E63 I could use.
Matt, that's me. How are you doing?
I'm good. This is going to be another question now. You're going to wish I never had your number. So we're wondering whether somehow we can get hold of the E63 timing chain kit thing from you guys. Whether we can buy it.
Excuse my French, but yeah, when I said, I like a challenge, I didn't mean that.
Whilst we wait for Mercedes to get back to us, we can start adding more parts to the engine, including the inlet manifold, which we broke on the last video.
There is a couple of choices. It's one way of identifying is if you could measure the fats on the camshaft. The 2 choices are either 30mm or 35mm.
That's 30.
The following options have recently changed.
30mm is my measurement.
30mm, we'll go with that one then?
Yeah.
Right, perfect, really appreciate that. Let me run through to the workshop, let him know, and I'll give you a call back in a minute.
Legend. So Mercedes might be able to get us this timing kit we need. Whilst we wait for those guys to get back to us again, the crank seal has turned up. So I can remove the pulley now, apply some sealant to it, and then I can start fitting the crank seal in place. Tighten all the bolts up for that, and then I can refit the pulley in hopes that Mercedes can call us back and give us a timing kit for the car.
Graham again from Mercedes.
Oh, you're right.
What I've done. Yeah, I'm good, mate. Are you?
Yeah, I will be if you give me good news.
No, it's not the best news.
Oh,
I tell you.
no.
We've never had to have these tools in, so we don't have them here. We've never had them.
Yeah.
I've sent you an email because there's 5 tools that would be needed.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be easier to give you part numbers, my cost prices, what they are, and everything. So I've dropped that all on an email for you. They'd have to come from Germany, so it would take 4 or 5 days normally to get items like that from Germany. But they're not cheap.
Oh, really?
Total cost. A couple of bits in bad, 29 quid, 65 quid, 14 quid.
741 quid, I just seen it.
I was working my way up to that one.
Oh my God.
No worries, have a good one.
Cheers. Hey.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
So, tools we can get on from Merck. It's £741 just for one part of the tool when we need like 4 bits. So it's looking at over £1,000 to do this. That's the issue. This hole in it. Look. But if the thing is, if we don't get that, I don't know what to do. Do you know if that's a degree out? There's an engine light on the dash. And there's a reason why it sits mega flush.
So can we get Bob to weld something and then grind it down to 2.5 mil?
It'd have to be exact each side.
I think
he
Bob
might
can do
be
that.
able to do it. So we took a trip to the machine shop in hopes that Bob can fix it for us. Right. So these things, we need all of these. This gap here to be, it's 30 millimeters wide, wasn't it? 30.
I thought that was 29.
It was 29, but 30 mil would be fine.
We've got to be able to turn.
We've got to be able to turn the cam round. At the minute, the cam's too fat to go in there. So this is our crucial part. So these lock down the cams into place and sort of go over like a bolt.
Yep.
But these are too wide at the minute, so the cam can move like back and forth like that. We need it to lock straight in place, and that's 30 millimeters. But we need it even, both sides going in. So like if too much one side, the cam would turn over too much. So it needs to be like, I think it's 2 mil on each side, wasn't it? Right.
Cool.
Bob's about to save us over £1,000. The engine's fate is in Bob's hands now. If there's anyone that can do it, it's going to be Bob at the machine shop. He's put the 2 bits of tool together which hold the camshaft down, and he's grinding this out to 30 millimeters, which you can see here. Then he's got to machine the rest of the parts. We can see Bob as well has got his full set of beta tools just like us, and he also offers welding courses, as well as the actual machine shop where you guys can come down and use all of the tools which you can see Bob using in the videos now. Now he's measuring the end of the forks, then he's going to start welding metal to the end of the forks to thicken it. Once he's happy with that, he then can put it back in the machine and grind it down to make sure that the forks are 2.5 mil wider on each side. This would give us that 30 mil measurement that we need.
Is everything done now? It is nearly 6 AM. I'm gonna go jump in bed now. Spot on!
Bob's dropped off the tools. Have they saved the day? I don't know. Let's see. Right. We don't know whether this is going to work either until we actually start the car. These will only go on one way on the camshafts. That one on. So if they slide on, we know Bob has done a good job. It holds them in a place. Whether that's the right place or not, we'll find out. We can't say whether that'll work or not until the engine's running. Bob could have saved us, or it might not. It was worth a try. So these should hold the cams down. Yeah. Let's put the bolts in and hold that down, and we'll see. I think he could have saved the day here, but it's hard to tell with anything to do with an engine because you never know whether it's right until you actually get it in the car and try and start it. But so far, we're looking good with the new tools. That's locked into place. Bottom is locked into place. That top side is locked into place. Right now, we could still, if we unplug that, we should be able to still turn the engine over, and these would spin, but they wouldn't rotate the cams until we tighten these up, and then they will lock onto the cams, and then everything will rotate. There's one more thing we need to do, and that is add this other tool to the top of the chain. This is going to give that chain that little bit more tension to mimic what it would be like when the rocker cover goes onto the cylinder head. And now, with all that timing kit locked into place on the right hand cylinder head, we can do the exact same on the left hand cylinder head. Right, we're happy the bottom is in position, locked off. The top is in position, locked off. Before we tighten the cam variators, the actual cogs onto the camshaft, we've got to insert this tool here, which I'm not sure what it does. 18 Newton meters.
That's nothing.
Then 45 degree. And now I can tighten the cam variators to the camshaft.
35, 43, 45.
Okay, that was tight. All of a sudden it got tight. If we do these cam variators too loose, then we could risk them slipping and the whole engine falling out of time. And the torque spec on these were insane. So now we remove these, remove anything that will stop it from turning, which is going to be these forks. Turn the engine over a full 720 degrees. And then see if it all goes back on. By doing that, we can make sure that even when the engine turns round, that it all stayed in time and didn't move out of place once it's done one rotation. Right, unplug. If it stops turning, we know there's a problem anyway. Why does it sound like Chewbacca?
That's hot. That's one turn now. That's upside down.
Yeah.
Now you've got to go again.
What's saying about there? Right, so this pin goes in. We know we're in the exact same spot we were. Now if the tools go on, we're good. As far as tools going on go.
Oh, it looks quite good, doesn't it?
Yeah? Seems okay. It's gone back to where it were.
He doesn't seem confident, does he?
It seems too easy. Chain's tight, that's tight, it's all as it is.
That's it, let's box it up. Come on.
I guess I'm as confident as I can be. We're never going to know until we get the engine in the car and turn that key for good, whether it's worked or not. But what we can do now is continue building up the rest of the engine. We can remove that timing kit and add down the rocker covers and start installing everything else which makes this engine an engine. This part I'm installing now is the casing for the camshaft sensors. I put some sealant on it, then I've got to torque all the bolts to spec to make sure we don't get any leaks out the top of the engine.
Do you think you did a good job?
I did a good job. On my side.
It should turn over now, and nothing should make any Chewbacca noises.
That's a good point, good sound.
And it did seem all okay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know whether we can celebrate yet or not. The good news is, this engine was complete and turning over, which is progress in itself. Now, we've got to make sure we put on all of this stuff. We've got turbos, we've got auxiliary belts, we've got alternators, we've got water pumps, we've got wiring. Let's put all of this to the engine and then we can finally start lifting onto that subframe and putting it in for the first time. Let's go. This is the part that probably took the most amount of time. Remembering where everything went. Luckily, we filmed and took a load of photos of the process when we took this thing apart, but it was still really difficult. I'm now installing new spark plugs because the old ones were soaked through with water and really rusty. These are going to slide into place and tighten up, And next up is this wiring loom for the engine.
Oh, it's wiggle.
If we miss one of these plugs off, it could cause the engine not to run. And because these plugs are so difficult to get to, it's going to be really hard to rectify any faults that we make now once the engine is inside the car. So we're taking our time in doing this. Once we're happy with the loom, on goes the charge coolers at the front of the engine, and then everything else on top. What a messy looking engine this is. But that's how most of these newer engines look nowadays. There's a hole for the drive shaft which goes through the sump, and then because this car's four-wheel drive, it has a front differential which actually mounts to the side of the engine, which I'm bolting on now.
Yeah.
And because we lost all the oil out of it when we took it off,
Here we go.
we've got to refill it.
Valvoline limited slip diff oil.
There's no dipstick for the front differential, we just fill it until it starts coming out. You can't really get this wrong because there's not really any electrics on this front diff.
Now, we've got to lift this onto the subframe. As soon as we get it bolted onto the subframe, it's literally only held on with that subframe with 3 bolts each side, and as soon as we get that on, we can connect the rest up and lower the car down onto it.
Are you excited to get it in?
Yeah, come on, let's do it.
This is what the engine's going onto, the front subframe. And now we've got to work together to pull the engine crane with the engine on it and lower it down onto the subframe. The engine mounts have 3 bolts on each side. We can screw them down onto it, and once we're happy with where that sits, we can remove the engine crane.
Yeah, boy! Yeah, boy! Yeah, boy! Look at that. If this thing starts and turns on, this has got to be a big achievement, because I just still can't believe that that's gone back together. I can see why some people think that we have like help from someone like a guy behind the camera. Spin the camera around really fast because just so because the guy could be behind you that's helping us.
Oh, right, okay, right.
So just spin it around really fast to show people they ain't there. Go.
Ballerina.
I can see why this conspiracy is why, because I don't even know how that's gone back together, to be honest. I don't even know. Before we do anything right now, we've got to remember, we've still got this rear crank seal to put in, because now we can put all this in and then we can attach the gearbox and the starter motor.
The last place you want oil leaking from is the rear crank seal. If it does leak oil from there, you got to remove your gearbox to replace it. So first we're applying some sealant, and then my dad's going to slide on the seal and taut the bolts to spec.
Next to go on is the flywheel, but before we do that,
We've got lunch! Yay! Y-Food had delivered like a summer special. Look at this. This is a perfect meal replacement drink, and it is fruity for summer. Fruity mango. Would you have mango?
no, different one, I'll have another one.
Roll the dice. Strawberry.
Yeah, I'll have strawberry.
And I'm gonna have a peach one. And you don't like fruity, but that's okay, Matt, because there is loads of other different flavours to choose from.
Y-Food is a meal replacement drink, and it's perfect for people who are constantly on the go like us.
Inside these, 26 vitamins and minerals, high in fibre, high in protein, lactose-free, gluten-free, no added sugar, keeps you full for your next meal, really, isn't it?
Now, Y-Food isn't a protein shake, it isn't a diet drink, it simply just replaces one meal throughout the day, and tastes really good, and gives your body all the vitamins and minerals it needs.
Gearbox is on, torque converter's on, flywheel is on, Y-Food is inners. The final thing we've got to put on is the starter motor, but if you remember from the Rolls Royce, when the starter motor went underwater, it no longer worked. And also with the RS6, when the engine seized up, because we tried to start it so many times with the engine seized, it blew up the starter motor. So we want to test this starter motor works before we actually put it on the car. Whilst we do that,
You guys can go grab yourself a Y-Food and find your favourite flavour with the link in the description box below.
10% off for your regular customers, 20% off for new customers. The link is on the screen now. Let's go test this starter motor. Here we go. Yeah, boy. It's working. Yes. Starter motor's good. Let's get it going.
I'm a shy deer in the headlights. She's coming over and I'm just standing there like
The craziest thing about this engine build is that the Aston dealership didn't have the tools to time it, and neither did the Mercedes dealership. So how many people have actually rebuilt a DBX engine? I guess we'll never know. And we won't know if we've done it successfully until we turn the key. Now we're installing the last final bits, the downpipes for the exhaust, and some heat shielding. And it's ready to go in.
She's ready. Car down, bolts in, engine on. Let's go.
If only it was easy as that. Now the car's coming down, we're going to make sure nothing gets damaged on the engine or the car, and once it's down low enough, we should be able to get the bolts in for the subframe to hold it all back on the DBX.
If we have to take that out again, I'm not here for it. I'm calling in sick.
With the subframe now attached to the car, I can now connect back up the prop shaft and the exhaust and tighten all the bolts for the gearbox mounting and everything else connecting it to the car. Then it's time to bring the DBX down again. We've still got radiator hoses, aircon hoses and fuel lines all to connect up. This is a long job, and I really hope we don't have to take this thing apart again. Next up, the suspension. We're going to need brake pressure to start the car, so we're going to connect back up the brake discs and the calipers to the wheel hub.
Okay, everything under here seems to be all buttoned up. There's still oil to put in the gearbox. We're not going to put any in, we're only putting in the necessities to start the car at the minute. So right now, oil in the gearbox is not needed, but oil in the engine is needed. There is a little bit of oil in the box, but it'll be enough to get it started, hopefully. But the last thing we want to do, because I'm 70% sure this is going to work, is have to take it all apart again and take the oil out that we've already put in. So
only 70% sure.
That is not confident, is it?
No, that's not confident. That ain't Matt Armstrong. Is it?
100% confident. Come on, Matt, it's going to work.
Just wondering, how much oil does a DBX, Aston Martin DBX take?
The Aston Martin DBX typically takes about 9.5 liters of engine oil.
Could I put Valvoline oil in it?
Absolutely. Valvoline is a reputable brand, and as long as you're using the right grade and type of oil that Aston Martin recommends, you should be good to go. Just make sure to match the specifications in the owner's manual.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go for it now. 9.5 litres of Valvoline oil, thank you.
We wouldn't use anything else. Let's hope this Valvoline oil gives us the look we need for this engine to start up and run properly. The Valvoline oil is also designed to protect the engine as well.
This is time now. Over a week of building this has led to this moment right now, and if it does not work, I'm going to be so disappointed. Bits of Mercedes engine, bits of DBX engine, new bits, second-hand bits, old piston rings, a second-hand block, new head gaskets, different heads. We're about to find out now whether it's going to work. I think a good plan is to disconnect the fuel lines. Sure. Oh, it's already disconnected. We'll run the car without any fuel, so it cranks over and gets oil pressure before we start it.
And my dad's going to put this fuel into a Valvoline tub whilst the engine builds up that oil pressure.
Health and safety, your heart out.
Right, I'm just going to crank it, yeah? I'm just going to crank it.
Are you excited to hear your car start for the first time?
Yes, I am.
So we're going to crank it now. My dad's going to catch the fuel. It shouldn't start because there should be no fuel, but that'll build up oil pressure. So then everything's lubricated and it's got oil for when we do actually start it. Let's hope this does actually work. Ready? Good?
Sounds good.
Sounds really good.
Sound alright, doesn't it?
Sounds really good.
Right, I'm going to connect the fuel line up now.
Right, I'm going to let you start it then, because it's not...
Now my dad's going to connect back up that fuel feed line, and next time we turn the key, it should start.
It turned over all right though.
It sounded really good.
Like that's a fair. Actually, never did that before.
No.
Never did that before. So take that. Right, this is it. Timing kits made from Bob at the machine shop. Mercedes blocks bought off eBay. Parts bought from Aston Martin and a bit of a gobbledygook thrown together engine with a manual that we got online somewhere. This, please work, because that took so long. Come on, DBX. Here we go.
Oh, I want to drive out of the garage in it. You ready?
My dad's dream car about to start for the first time. Come on.
Why is it so quiet? Why is it so quiet?
That sounds well good.
The engine was running so smooth.
Why is it so quiet?
It sounds brand new. It sounds like it's just.
It literally sounds brand new. No way. Why is that so weird? Stop revving it! It's so quiet. Do you know that's so weird to start a car? That's so quiet.
It literally sounds like brand new out the factory.
It sounds like a Rolls Royce engine. No way. No way. No. It's so quiet.
The timing
you can barely hear it. You can barely hear it.
Round of applause, I would say.
There's no way.
That's good.
There's no way. Have we got any lights? Not even an engine light.
It's not an engine light.
Suspension, it's in the air, I guess. 48 volt on board, again, another battery situation. And battery. Stop vehicle,
leave engine running.
Leave engine running because the battery's too low. And then neutral permanently.
I'm only tickling the throttle, but I've got to run it in first.
What? It sounds so quiet. It sounds like a roll. Look at this. I can literally whisper to the camera. The engine that we just filmed. That's so quiet. There's
the engine was purring. My dad's one step closer to driving his dream car. I think the little bit of steam coming out of the exhaust is the excess water that's in it from when it did go in the flood. And it should clear eventually.
Now you've got to run it in.
Let's take it to a track, man.
Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button. Somehow we built an engine and it works. Thanks so much. See you in the next video. Peace out. Wow, it's a full glass roof. That's sick.
And also, people in helicopters can see your old head.
Like a drug that I just can't deny.